Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast, and today is a 2 vs 2 on Moscow Outskirts. Lots of talkative action going on, because this is a battle of the clans. We have Clan RtN versus Clan SturmTiger. Up top, we have our blue U.S. Forces player, RtN Dusty, our yellow Russian player, RtN Momo for show. Down at the bottom, we have our pink OKW player, SturmTiger Jop, and our red Wehrmacht player, SturmTiger Gaddafi. Again, it's Moscow Outskirts, so we have our victory points straight across the center of the map. Our fuel point is slightly diagonal across the map in the corners, and we have, of course, our munitions points in the center of the map next to the center victory point, so a little bit easier to capture your own respective fuel point, a little bit harder to capture your opponent's fuel point, which is key to victory on this map. Kubu Wagon moving out, Sturm Pioneers also moving out to the first munitions point. And we also have these engineers moving out to the other munitions points, so perhaps this is part of their strategy to just go right out and get the first two munitions points to use those munitions against their opponents. Engineers here trying to take this first territory point, however the Kubu Wagon is moving up on them, and we have these Sturm Pioneers that will move up on the other side as well, so forcing the retreat already for those engineers. So far, not a very good start for the yellow Russian player. Rear echelon troops taking the territory point here, and we have more rear echelon troops moving down to the left side, taking some more territory points on the map as well, with two additional riflemen coming out for our U.S. Forces player. Now over here we have the OKW player moving over to the right side here, brought the Schwere Wehrmacht Schlepper over to the right side, see what he's going to do with that, and the Grenadiers now taking the center victory point. A little battle going on in the center now over the munitions point. We have the riflemen moving in, and of course the Pioneers running away from those riflemen because they can't really battle them at long range. But we have the Kubu Wagon here that could suppress them should it get a good spot, but it wasn't in the best spot to actually start suppressing those troops. So these Grenadiers here trying to get back a little bit. Now the Pioneers going to move up and try and flank, but not going to happen as we have some rear echelon troops and a sniper now moving out to dominate the center here. Sniper could get some good shots on these Grenadiers right away. Kubu Wagon is now suppressing these troops, and we have an MG42 also trying to suppress these troops too. So lots of suppression going on, but very good cover for both of these troops. Green cover for both the rear echelon troops, even though they're behind that tiny little block or whatever of stone brick there. Now we have the Russian scout car, the clown car, moving in right on these MG42. And now moving around and trying to get out of there a little bit. Took about half damage there, not too big of a deal. Grenadiers now trying to chase it down, but a little bit too far. Kubu Wagon also trying to chase it down. Kubu Wagon's got to watch out as the scout car typically always beats a Kubu Wagon one-on-one. Riflemen are now moving forward onto the German side here, but they're in negative cover, so taking lots of damage there. Already took about a quarter of their health away. These two Grenadiers here about to eat a grenade, and eats the grenade, takes out one from that squad and one from another squad, leaving only one left in that squad. There is the lag of the game, and Kubu Wagon trying to suppress all these troops. We have the rear echelon troops coming right around the corner, but decide that is not a good idea because they're going to go right in the face of an MG. And we have rear echelon troops on the left side here, but not really doing anything. Must have forgot about those. Must be too much micro in the center at the moment. Sturm Pioneers and Volksgrenadiers trying to chase away this sniper, trying to get the kill, but probably not going to happen. Meanwhile, the scout car chasing them down, and we'll see if these engineers are getting a flamethrower. Indeed, it is almost done, so the flames will start shooting very soon here, and these Sturm Pioneers are in a little bit of trouble. They're in negative cover and going to be taking huge damage from this scout car and from those flamethrowers, doing circles around these troops to force the troops to move around. And on the right side, we have these conscripts taking the right side victory point, leaving the U.S. forces with, or the allies rather, with 2 victory points, and the Germans with none. Riflemen trying to defend this area, but there's a little bit too much firepower here with the Kubu Wagon that is going to start suppressing, but there's a fiery wreckage in the way of its sight, so couldn't fire there. 2 Grenadiers in the center as well, still not taking the center victory point. And they lost the munitions point that they so tried to get early in the game, but now we'll send some Grenadiers there and try to take that back. But there are some conscripts over on the other side taking the other munitions point at the same time. We have some conscripts moving down the right side, but there are some Volksgrenadiers here to defend this area. And I doubt they will be able to take it from those Volksgrenadiers unless they get a very good jump on them. Grenadiers now taking some of the left side here and the munitions point at the same time, so the center trying to be taken back by the Germans. But these riflemen saying otherwise. MG42 behind this wreckage of a tank here. And now the rear echelon troops trying to take back this munitions point, at least contesting it from the Germans until reinforcements can arrive, and doing a good job at that, but only down to 2 men left in that squad. And we have some riflemen that are going to flank these grenadiers. Grenadiers are in a little bit of trouble here, down to about a 1/5 of their health, maybe an 1/8 of their health, and may actually lose that grenadier, which would be a big loss at such the start of the game. I can't talk right now. Grenadiers now trying to run away. They will get away no problem, but may lose a man on the way. So losing that grenadier so early is kind of a big loss for the Wehrmacht. Conscripts inside this house here, defending this area, but against all of this, is not going to happen. If these Volksgrenadiers already got a Panzerschreck, and the Kubelwagen was firing on them as well, forcing them out of there. Center now belonging to the Allies. Territory point being taken, the munitions was taken, and now the territory point that was taken by the Germans is now back in Allied hands. MG42 right outside the base here, trying to suppress these troops, doing a good job of that. Getting on the flank, the backward flank there. And Grenadiers behind this fence here, in big trouble with a grenade, but way too late of a grenade, and totally misses those Grenadiers. And these riflemen are now completely pinned. They did throw some smoke, which will cause them to be able to get back up. However, they decide to retreat out of there, as there's 2 squads of Grenadiers that were coming up on them, forcing that retreat. Over on the right side, Volksgrenadiers taking back the right side victory point, and now trying to take the center victory point as well, which could leave them with 2 to start taking down the Allied score there. Conscripts inside this church here, going to last a little while, but the Kubelwagen, SturmPioneers so close, so much automatic fire on them, and these Volksgrenadiers not in the best position, but still just additional firepower on that church, forcing that retreat out of their M20 utility car, now out on the field, going to try and force away some of these troops and get the center back for the Allies. M20 keeping its distance, being wise, keeping its distance, not allowing it to get near these Grenadiers with the LMG and their Panzerfaust. Should it get too close. And now going over to the left side here, there's some Panzer Fusiliers that are moving right up on this utility car here, and needs to get back. And gonna get hit by a rifle grenade there, and that was weird. It sort of just disappeared. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Half-track now being set up in the center here. Very powerful half-track, and will just annihilate troops. M20 car trying to battle it out with these troops here, but there's Grenadiers right up in its face. Could Panzerfaust it, but now the scout, the smoke rather, gonna make that quite difficult. We have a quad cannon for the Russians, so both sides having a half-track. 50 cal machine gun is in trouble here, getting shot by that flak and trying to get out of there now. Right side being taken by these engineers here, and now in Allied hands. Rear echelon troops taking the munitions point back from the Germans, and Lieutenant getting inside this house to prevent suppression from that Kubelwagen. Could get out the other side and get away scot-free. Scout car is out for the Wehrmacht. Scout car and the half-track. Going to be a pretty good combo here, forcing back the Allies. And these riflemen and 50 cal can't really move forward in this area with that half-track there. Need to find a way to get rid of that, possibly bring up a 57 or the ZIS to get rid of that. Kubelwagen still set up here. It looks like it's just out of range to shoot this lieutenant here inside of that church. Panzer Fusiliers and Volksgrenadiers setting up to attack that church. Meanwhile, some riflemen taking the territory point. And over on this side, scout car was destroyed by the vehicle crew. A 3-star vehicle crew with the bazooka hits it and abandoned, and it is now abandoned. The crew is destroyed. Could take that back for the Allies now. Why not? Free scout car. Riflemen moving up on this MG and got out of the arc of fire, so forcing that MG out of there. Can't really stand there and just get shot at. Lieutenant still holding out in the church here, but for how long? Grenadiers, Volksgrenadiers, even more Grenadiers coming, and the Panzer Fusiliers all firing on this church. Huge damage incoming, and decides to get out of there. It's going to retreat back, heal up, and reinforce. Conscripts taking the center victory point. However, the Germans did take the bottom victory point, but it is being contested by these riflemen here. 2-star riflemen against just 3 Grenadiers. Grenadiers going to have to lose that one and run away. Half-track now being set up in the center here, but decides to back it up just a little bit and stop that set-up time. And is almost set up, and will start firing on these conscripts soon enough. Going to force that retreat immediately. Loses several troops as soon as it starts firing, and now will start firing on these riflemen. Loses an additional troop on the way out. Half-track just does so much damage to infantry. And now Grenadiers taking over the center. They're just barely in the center there behind that truck. And Captain needs to back out. Tried to bring up a captain on that half track, but there's too many troops in the way. And needs to back out for now. Kuba Wagon still alive here and trying to suppress these troops. MG42 doing the job there. Over on the right side, we have Panzer Fusiliers and Sturm Pioneers. They're going to move up the right side soon enough here. A battle going on down here. The quad cannon, a little bit of trouble, taking pretty big damage there. Panzerschreck was about to go off, but suppressed those troops, and takes a little longer to fire the weapon when they are suppressed. Pack 40 also set up in this area, so the quad cannon really can't be there any much longer. 50 cal and some engineers over on the left side here. 50 cal is defending this side. And now we have the scout car and the M20 car moving in on the Germans. Scout car was taken by the U.S. forces there when it was abandoned. And now Flak is setting back up here, but there's some smoke in the way between it and the rifleman. Probably not going to be able to fire at that angle. Not really sure. It's a pretty tight angle. But nope, going to fire right through that smoke and hit these riflemen there, so they're in big trouble. Going to have to retreat out of there quickly. Grenadiers moving up on the M20, but didn't get a Panzerfaust on it. Oh, nope, it's actually going to Panzerfaust. It's going to be from downtown there and hits it from really far away and damages the engine. Going to have to bring that back and repair that up. But for the U.S. forces, that is such an easy task to decrew and start repairing. Now up this way, we have two Volksgrenadiers taking this territory point, and we have two snipers actually set up for the Russians, just hammering down on these Volksgrenadiers. Big trouble for those Volksgrenadiers, just gonna have to run away, get out of the maximum range of that sniper. Loses that 50 cal, probably gonna be picked up by these Panzer Fusiliers. Why not free 50 cal? And Grenadiers now in a little bit of trouble here, just one Grenadier in that group, have to run away. And indeed does pick up that 50 cal. Could use that against them, and just in time too, as these forces were just moving in, but he picked it up for just a second there, so it took a little bit of time for him to start firing. Now a half track, a mortar half track for the U.S. forces firing down on this 50 cal here, and he may actually lose his 50 cal down to 2 men, and the quad cannon is directly in front of it, taking huge damage from that quad cannon, but successfully picks it up and runs away with it. Now, down over in the right side here, we have these conscripts taking the fuel point, now setting up some sandbags here to have some little bit of extra cover. Taking the left side with by the Germans there. MG42 is set up in the center here. Captain trying to force away these Grenadiers and may successfully do that. Only down to one Grenadier, needs to get out of there. And the sniper here right in front of this Grenadier may actually lose this Grenadier. They're going to start to fire any time now, and no, just lucks out. Needs to pick up this 50 cal though. They are firing at the 50 cal now. Or MG42 rather, and picks it up and will successfully get out of there. 50, the half track here should start firing on those snipers. That would be a pretty decent idea, but maybe he was just out of range. You'd have to move it and then set back up again. Engineers taking over the territory point, taking back the munitions point too for the Allies. Sturm officer is taking the fuel point on the left side, and on the right side we have some conscripts moving in on the territory point, but two Volksgrenadiers and a Panzer Fusilier and the half track here to contest this area. Not really going to be able to do anything with those conscripts. Snipers are actually taking the munitions point, something you don't see too often there. And Grenadiers looks like they're going to eat a grenade, but didn't do too much there. A very disappointing grenade for those riflemen. They're now going to push forward with these Grenadiers, but there are two snipers here that will take this down in half upon firing. Should they not miss anyway. The second sniper did not fire there. Decided to pull that out of there as soon as possible. There's a demolition charge on that territory point there. Volksgrenadiers trying to defend this area from these riflemen, but not going to happen. Riflemen with 2 veterancy and a M20 there as well. Half track moving up the side and not in a good position to be firing on just about anything right now. Grenadiers taking back the munitions point. Center just being taken back and forth over and over. Germans will soon own both munitions point, but nope, decided to move those Grenadiers out of there and chase away these engineers. Quad cannon is in a little bit of trouble here, may lose it, but nope, nothing really around that can actually do that. Su-76 is now on the field, my favorite tank in the game. And the Grenadiers now chasing away these engineers, but there's a flamethrower, and so they're going to want to back up. Going to take a little bit too much damage from that 50 cal now being set up. Going to start suppressing these troops. Now could go back over there and start destroying them, but they retreat away before that opportunity is given. lieutenant now taking the munitions point here, and a rifle grenade lands right on that lieutenant there, takes out one, and does some extra damage to the lieutenant as well. So a pretty good rifle grenade. And may lose the lieutenant, but no, gonna get away just in time. And now some rear echelon troops taking the bottom territory point from the Germans. M20 destroyed this Grenadier squad. Another big loss for our Wehrmacht, losing at least 2 Grenadier squads throughout this game so far. 2 PaK-40s are out for the Wehrmacht. And now down here we have the captain battling out with the Panzer Fusiliers. Panzer Fusiliers 1 out on that, and chased away the captain, but there's a rifleman squad here as well that will probably finish off that Panzer Fusilier squad and force it to retreat out of there. Our Wehrmacht player does have 2 PaK-40 4% increased faster reload speed, and the PaK-40 already has a pretty substantial reload speed as it is, so 8% is just a little bit better. 1 Grenadier left in that squad. That mortar landed directly on them and retreats that away immediately. 2 snipers taking away the victory point, taking that back for the Allies here on the right side. The Germans so far owning 2 victory points, just was taken on the far left, or far right. Panzer Fusiliers moving up. There's an M20 here, going to be start firing on them. Could use that anti-tank rifle grenade on it, but decides to run away before they suffer too many losses. Grenadiers moving forward now, and the Jagdpanzer going to get a big shot on this M20. Oh, and then the Jagdpanzer actually misses. It was a pretty critical miss, and fires again, hits it. It would be destroyed by now had it not missed originally, but he may finish it off right here. No, misses again. Must be an amateur Jagdpanzer driver, or gunner rather. Quad cannon firing on these Panzer Fusiliers, forcing them away from the munitions point. And we have conscripts moving down the right side, taking the right side out, and the left side belonging to the Allies as well. And about to take the fuel point away. Grenadiers going to move forward here, may take this victory point back, but going to try and get some kills before they do that. Flak half-track moving forward now. Grenade was thrown in that building, but got out just in time there. Lieutenant now going to be taking the fuel point, and we have some riflemen in the back here. And a 57 going to fire on this half-track, and the half-track's just about to eat a 57 shot here. And oh, he actually misses. So he's giving that half-track a little bit of time to do some damage to that 57, but unfortunately not going to do damage fast enough. We'll lose that half-track before he will lose the 57. And that was a very unfortunate loss for that half-track there. Quad cannon being chased by the Jagdpanzer. Jagdpanzer missing again. The accuracy rating of this particular Jagdpanzer this game is abysmal. On the right side here, this conscript's taking the fuel point. Now both fuel points belonging to the U.S. forces and the Russians. So starving out the Germans of fuel, pretty much the best way you can win against Germans. Lieutenant now taking the left side victory point, leaving the Germans with only 1 victory point, but here comes the Panzer IV to chase away this Lieutenant. Lieutenant really can't do anything about this, doesn't have any way to defend that. However, it was neutralized, so they're going to have to take that back. Now, Riflemen forcing away the MG42 from the munitions point. Munitions point going to be belonging to the Allies now. However, the Panzer Fusilier is going to try and defend this area here. And moving back the pack, so he does not lose that. Riflemen now moving forward. They have that M1919 light machine gun from the commander. Very good at long range. And now the Panzer Fusiliers getting flanked. The fire coming from behind them. And going to start losing them out pretty quickly. However, we have some Grenadiers, whole bunch of Wehrmacht forces moving up on this Rifleman, losing this Rifleman very fast. And retreats out of there. Panzer IV moving to the center. And the U.S. forces taking the left side still as well. Right side. A battle going on here. We have the Panzer Fusiliers battling it out with this quad cannon. Quad cannon juking around this Jagdpanzer as the Jagdpanzer has to move entirely to move the turret. Or the barrel, rather. Panzer Fusiliers and Grenadiers trying to defend the middle here. Panzer IV is moving forward. 2 Grenadiers also here to push these troops out of here so they can take back the munitions point. Panzer IV takes a big shot there. Looks like it took a hit from the pack howitzer and the priest at the same time. A priest is out on the field, and that is actually a pretty early priest. A 19-minute priest is actually relatively early. Also, the mortar is out on the field as well. M20 and another 57 out on the field as well. We have the 75, a 57, and it was decrewed by these troops here. could take that back, could be very useful for the Germans to take that 57. 2 snipers still in the center here, just devastating any troops that move forward. They lose 2 troops at a time. Typically the sniper will always hit in 1 shot, unless it is retreating or behind cover. Then it typically lowers that statistic. M20 firing at these grenadiers here in a little bit of trouble. 50 cal trying to suppress troops as they move forward here. Germans in a little bit of trouble in the center. Could lose this any time. Snipers moving back a little bit. Nothing really else to shoot, so they move back. Now the 50 cal moving to the munitions point. Territory point still owned by the U.S. forces. And over on the left side, still owned by the U.S. forces. And the Allies. Pack 40 is set up over on the right side here in case that pesky quad cannon comes back. The Jagdpanzer moving forward. Just some conscripts over here, though. Sturm officer and the Volksgrenadiers hiding behind this fence here. And conscript's going to run right up in their faces. Not sure if that's a recommended practice, but the Sturm officer and the Volksgrenadiers right there, giving them that buff. Conscript firing from quite a ways away. And we have the priest firing in this area. I believe that indeed that was the priest, as that was a big boom there. Mobile artillery. The priest can even take out big tanks if it hits them a few times. Grenadiers moving forward, and we have the MG42 should be moving that forward as well to take back this center victory point still belonging to the Germans. Right side victory point belonging to the Germans as well. 253 to 411 for the Allies. So the Allies just winning so far, but anything can happen. Snipers in the center here shooting away at these Grenadiers. Down to 1 sniper in that group, gonna retreat out of there. Retreats both of them, loses 1 sniper, a fair loss. 360 manpower for a sniper squad. Riflemen trying to defend this munitions point, but a lot of Germans are moving up pretty quickly here. 2 Grenadiers and the Panzer Fusiliers are moving up on them. Here comes a grenade landing right on them, and they're about to eat that, and they eat it and lose 1, but not too big of a deal there. M20 and Lieutenant moving forward at these Grenadiers here, doing big damage to them. Still successfully defending the middle from the Germans. They do own the victory point, but all of this material over here, the munitions and the territory point here, is unable to be taken by the Germans. Panzer Fusilier hiding behind cover here, battling out with this captain. So far the captain losing out on that battle. And the lieutenant now moving into the center, forcing away the Pack 40. Panzer IV takes a big hit there. Looks like it was struck by that 57. And these Panzer Fusiliers will eventually chase away that lieutenant, but they eat a grenade there. It takes out 1 of the members and down to 50% of health on that Panzer Fusilier squad. Jagdpanzer moving forward, but nothing really for the Jagdpanzer to handle. Right side victory point being taken by the Allies, leaving the Germans with just 1 victory point. Quad cannon in the center now, and the M20 eats a Panzer IV shell there and puts it down to about half health. Sturm officer in the middle with Volksgrenadiers and Panzer Fusiliers, quite a big force in the middle, but unable to push forward with that quad cannon, 1 quad cannon and 1 mortar half-track there. And also the 75mm pack howitzer also providing a little bit of trouble. And the priest also fires from time to time, giving the Germans a little bit of trouble whenever that fires. Should it hit directly, pretty much destroys anything. Pack 40 bringing that up, and the Jagdpanzer now moving into the center as well, which I definitely agree with. Should be moving into the center, as there's the half-tracks and the M20 that is... Ostwind now moving forward here and going to take some hits from that 57, but will gladly do that as it's just hitting the frontal armor. And it should be able to take out that 57 before the 57 takes out the Ostwind. Now multiple tanks moving forward here. A big push moving forward, lots of troops moving in, going to take back that munitions point. Ostwind here should move forward and do some damage to these half-tracks. Panzer IV, 1 more hit on that half-track, going to lose that mortar half-track there. Although not the greatest loss for the U.S. forces, as the half-track is a pretty inexpensive truck to make. Ostwind taking a little bit of damage there, needs to back that out of there, was taking some shots from the bazooka. And now an IS-2 is out on the field, and the Ostwind going to take a hit from that IS-2, needs to get out of there as soon as possible. However, the Jagdpanzer needs to be firing on that, needs to not be backing up, loses the stability of that gun when he moves. Could be getting some excellent shots on that IS-2 from the Panzer IV and the Jagdpanzer, but decided to back up. Not really sure the reasoning for that, as it was aiming at that Ostwind. Now, Volksgrenadiers moving over, trying to take the fuel point back from the Allies, and almost made it, but not quite. Also taking the right side fuel point back, and we have some Volksgrenadiers moving over to the right side victory point as well. However, there is a demolition charge there that could go off if he is looking at that sector, could lose all those troops if he stands on that. Although right here he may not lose all of them, but he will definitely take a big hit, taking the center back as well. So the Germans will soon own all 3 victory points against the Allies. M20 still going. Perhaps that's a new M20. I believe that's a new M20, as it only has 1 kill and no veterancy. Volksgrenadiers battling out with these engineers. Engineers successfully chasing off the Volksgrenadiers there, along with the quad's help. And now the Germans did take that 57. Sturmoffizier in big trouble. Loses that Sturmoffizier from 1 hit there. And that was the 75 pack howitzer. Landed right on the top of that tank there and actually took them out. Panzer Fusilier in a little bit of trouble here. Multiple troops moving in on them. And decides to get out of there. MG42 suppressing these troops, holding them off for now. We need to get some additional troops in there to stop this movement from the lieutenant. Lieutenant now in the center here, taking the munitions point. And may at least neutralize it from the Germans, forcing them to retake that. Once again, Grenadiers moving forward on these Rifleman here. Did buy a second sniper to replace that lost sniper, so now still has 2 snipers. And just doing huge damage to these troops. 6 kills and 12 kills, so not the greatest amount of kills on those snipers, but doing pretty good. And Rifleman moving forward here. And those Riflemen eat a rifle grenade there and did huge damage. Took out 4 of them, 4 members from that Rifleman squad. There was 1 rifle grenade. Definitely a very successful and very worthwhile rifle grenade. Rifleman in the center here trying to take the victory point back. Should just move these Grenadiers up forward just a scotch. And now forces the retreat on them. Keeps the victory point there. Conscripts retaking the victory point and retaking the territory point all the way in the northern corner. And also taking the left side victory point as well. Panzer IV moving forward. There's an IS-2 and a Jackson tank destroyer. Panzer IV in a little bit of trouble there. Has to back out. He needs to bring the Pack 40 and 2 Pack 40s over. Could do huge damage to these. Indeed, picking up both of the Pack 40s and bringing them along. They're just a little bit out of range there. Jackson tank destroyer is maybe in a little bit of trouble here. 57 could fire on it, but no, does not fire. Took its good old time firing on that Jackson there. Middle still belonging to the Wehrmacht and the OKW. Now multiple pack guns over here. Any tank that moves over here is going to be sorry. It's going to get hit by 2 packs and a 57. Panzer Fusiliers battling out with these conscripts. 2 Panzer Fusiliers. One of them has managed to find themselves a flamethrower on the ground. And going to take back this sector here. Sturm Pioneers trying to take back the victory point as well. Some conscripts trying to defend that, but there are multiple Panzer Fusiliers over in that area to go up and defend that. 50 cal pinning these engineers. No longer going to be able to take that sector. Again, the triple pack squad here moving forward and trying to force back some of these tanks. And now the Priest is firing on this Jagdpanzer and this sector here and hits pretty hard there. Doesn't actually take anything out by the looks of it and just needs to back out of there and they'll be all fine. And dandy. Panzer Fusiliers now taking the munitions point. Did take the left side entirely there except for that northern territory point, which is now being taken by these Sturm Pioneers, now that I say that. Rifleman and 2 snipers set up on this 50 cal here, and this 50 cal is about to take 2 shots from those snipers. Takes 1 there, loses 1 man, and the other one may have missed. IS-2 moving forward here, and there is some demolition charge there for any troops that decide to try and retake that. Pack 40 is set up at the bottom. The packs have been split up a little bit. Now the pack also there as well to cover a big area. Jackson at this victory point here now moving forward could set up this vehicle crew, and while they're repairing it, taking the victory point at the same time. Quite convenient. 50 cal going to set up at the victory point here and try and take that back, or at least neutralize it from the Germans. Score so far 199 to the Allies, 303. So far the Allies doing pretty good in holding back the Germans. Panzer Fusiliers with that coveted and stolen flamethrower there. And getting forced away by engineers with the flamethrower and a 3-star conscript squad. Captain moving forward, and assisting the 50 cal and taking that victory point. And putting some teller mines on the road here, just in case any more tanks decide to go in that area. Gonna have a big surprise from those teller mines. Typically does about half damage to a tank and severely damages its engine most of the time. Very powerful mines. Jackson is defending this area from any troops or tanks that come here. These Pioneers are about to get a 90mm cannon in their face, and there is a demolition charge there that could take them out, which would be very exciting to watch. Oh, and they're right above it too. I'm actually going to stay here with the camera just to see, just in case. Oh, and loses all 4 of those. Very fun. Sniper now in the center here. Captain taking the munitions point back. They did successfully take that victory point, and now taking the victory point on the far right with these engineers. However, they're going to have a problem with this Panzer IV. Panzer IV decides to back off. We have some troops moving forward. There is a demolition charge there, and he was very vigilant the last time they stepped on a demolition charge. MG42 is set up there, a pretty decent spot, and Panzer Fusiliers moving on to the victory point, but nowhere near the demolition charge, so not going to detonate that just yet. These engineers here just absorbing some damage for no reason there, and now fighting back at those Panzer Fusiliers, but not really going to happen. IS-2 and the Su-85 in the right side here, and the Su-85 eats a couple shots here from the Jagdpanzer and that 57 that was taken from the U.S. forces, and will lose that Su-85. An unnecessary loss for that Su-85. Didn't really get to do too much with it. Captain moving forward here. They're taking a lot of damage here. Looks like the Priest firing down on this area as well. Did some damage to those Grenadiers, and they're just going to get out of there now. Now the Priest not really able to fire on that area again, as there's really nothing there. Grenadiers chilling back here, so close to that demolition charge. Panzer Fusiliers battling out with these 3-star conscripts, but they're taking some pretty big damage from the LMG and the combination of the Panzer Fusiliers as well. They did take that right side victory point, now taking the left side victory point. And we have the Major over here chasing away this Pack 40. May lose that Pack 40 to the Major. Another Pack 40 there as well. Center belonging entirely to the U.S. forces here. However, there are some troops moving over from the right. We have the Obersoldaten and a 50 cal out on the field as well. Jagdpanzer and the Panzer IV moving forward. It looks like a Stuka barrage is incoming. We'll see where it's going to land, and totally misses everything. Just forces the retreat from these troops here. And now we'll be able to take that sector as there's nothing there. Sniper now over on the left side here. And it looks like they finished off the troops that came over here. Not really sure what troops those were. But either way, they are dead troops now from that Priest. Looks like the Priest landed there, and the snipers. Combination of the Priest and the snipers there. Panzer IV moving forward, trying to get a shot on that lieutenant, but decides to shoot the half-track instead. Wise choice. And IS-2 and the Jackson over there need to bring over the packs and start taking care of those. And Panzer IV trying to harass and destroys those 2 snipers in one shot there. It looks like he took out another sniper in one shot as well. And trying to chase down this sniper now. Takes a shot from that Jackson, a big hit. And gonna try and finish off this sniper here, and finishes it off successfully. Now needs to back out of there as soon as possible, as this Jackson will finish it off. And 2 Priests out in the field now. Panzer IV notices those 2 Priests and tries to shoot them. And now he knows those 2 Priests are up there. Maybe he will try and get a flank on those Priests, or try and do some sneaky attack on them later on, as that would be a very juicy couple kills to destroy 2 Priests. And they would go down very easily. And did he lose that Panzer IV? It looks like he did lose that Panzer IV. An elephant is now on the field, something you really don't see too often in 1 vs 1 and 2 vs 2. Really glad, very excited, puts a smile on my face to see the old elephant out on the field. You see Jagdpanzers, or Jagdtigers, more than you see an elephant. Such a fun vehicle, and need to get that spotting scope. The spotting scope, so useful. But he only has 45 munitions, probably just doesn't want to use his munitions just yet. That spotting scope is so good. Although he currently is using focused, or not using focus sight, but could use focus sight, which is pretty good as well, is definitely very good. But with the spotting scope, you really don't even need to use focus sight, as soon as you stop with the spotting scope, it increases your vision range by quite a bit. I'm not really sure the percentage it actually increases it by. I would say at least 30%. It's pretty significant. Panzer IV, or Panzer V now out in the field. Good old Panther. And we'll see what he decides to do with this, if he wants to fire on these troops or not. Looks like the Priest is now firing on the position. Need to get out of there. If the Priest fires directly on one of these tanks, it will take actually quite a bit of damage. one single grenadier here taking the territory point, and with some grenadiers taking the victory point as well. At the same time, we have some grenadiers over here not taking the fuel point. No, just moving onto that fuel point now, and at the same time taking the right side victory point. So lots of territory being taken by the Germans at the moment, and at the same time we have the victory point for the U.S. forces in the center, still holding strong there, and riflemen taking the territory point back next to the munitions. The Jackson tank destroyer still on the map. We have 2 priests for Dusty out on the field, and doing a pretty good job with them so far, and taking out quite a bit of things. 4 kills on there and 7 kills on the other one. Could have a little bit more kills than that, but they do have a pretty long cooldown, and their opponents are pretty good and spreading out pretty well. And the Panzer V runs right over those TM-35 mines, and now needs to just back out of there. Its engine damaged. Captain is coming over to add insult to injury and try and get some bazooka shots in on it. However, the bazooka just pretty insufficient for taking out a Panzer V, really. You need many more than just 2 bazookas to really take it out. The Jackson tank destroyer moving over, IS-2 is moving over, and an Su-85. Looks like he's just going outright medieval on this Panzer V. He's bringing the whole team. And another demolition charge goes off and takes out a whole squad again. And they need to start bringing over the packs, bringing over the Elephant and a Jagdpanzer over there, and bringing over that 57 as well. Panzer V is in big trouble. Probably will not escape the IS-2 and the Su-85, but he may actually lose an Su-85 on this. The Su-85 is faced the wrong way. For the troops over here anyway. Faced the correct way to take out the Panzer V, but not the right way to defend against all of this incoming. We had the Elephant, not really sure what got the kill there, but 2 packs also firing on this. Jagdpanzer moving forward, and the Elephant's going to get some shots in on it as well, as it really can't get out of there without taking some hits from that. However, he's shooting the Jackson, almost destroyed that Jackson while it's being repaired. Jagdpanzer in a little bit of trouble. The engine actually damaged, needs to get it out of there. The Captain doing huge damage to it. And we'll fire again on this IS-2 and see if he can destroy it there. It looks like maybe he missed, and the 57 is set up. Maybe the 57 can finish off that. No, actually deflects off of it. And the Elephant moving forward, and he did not lose that Jackson destroyer. He got in it, backed up a little bit, did lose that Jagdpanzer. Is now out of control and will explode. Also decrewed that 57. So far I'd say the Germans losing more. Oh, actually destroyed that M36 now. So a lot of the Jackson as well as the Su-85. Perhaps that's an even trade, although a Jagdpanzer and a Panzer V, I would say, is a little bit more expensive than a Jackson and an Su-85. Also losing, decrewing that 57, which will have to recrew and then reinforce, which will also cost him. So I'd say the Germans lost out a little bit on that. However, they have all 3 victory points, so taking down the U.S. forces very quickly here, 139 to 141. And now the Allies moving forward, and Russians moving forward into the center victory point here. Gonna pick up that MG42 and try and run away with the ye old coveted MG42. Gonna put that over his shoulder and run away with it. Run away! I would run away with an MG42. I would certainly love to have an MG42. I think that would be a whole hell of a lot of fun. So those guys think it is too, and they ran off with that. Now moving forward with the 50 cal. And 50 cal versus 50 cal here, both setting up right in front of each other. Only 2 men on this 50 cal though. And now gonna pick that up and try and retreat away with it. And something exploded over there. Didn't really see what that was. Perhaps the priests were firing. Not really sure where the priests are at the moment. Here we go. There's one priest, and there's another priest over on the right side. So he split up his priests, so the angles of fire would be a little bit better. Elephant tank destroyer still in the middle. Want to see some good action from that Elephant. Only 1 kill on that Elephant so far. Was probably the Jackson tank destroyer, I believe, is what was killed by that Elephant there. Panzer Fusiliers taking the munitions point back from the Allies, and now moving over to the right side victory point. No more demolition charges on that right side. Nope, didn't see any. And so far, those demolition charges really paying off, surprisingly paying off. 1 blew up here, destroyed all of those troops, destroyed all of the troops over here. I think 1 or 2 went off over here, and 1 went off over here, destroying those troops as well. So, you know, munitions for destroying troops, I would say that is worth it. Elephant tank destroyer now moving over to the left side. See some armor over here. This priest would make for a really juicy kill from that Elephant, and I'm not sure if he can see that on the map or not. You know, we have some riflemen in defensive position with that M1919, and he's getting out of there now. Ate a rifle grenade there and landed directly on those troops and took out a few of them. And not going to lose that rifleman squad, but lost a lot. Going to have to reinforce that. That will cost him quite a bit to reinforce. And the Allies very low on munitions right now. So any damage they take, any troops that they lose at the moment is going to be a big loss for them. IS-2 moving forward here, trying to chase down these Panzer Fusiliers and get some extra kills on them, but I think they'll get away in time. And if anything, they could just start retreating. Now moving against this captain here. Looks like we have the Panzer Fusiliers moving in, and they have that flamethrower, so they may be able to win out on that captain indeed. Chases them away. 5-star Panzer Fusilier now. IS-2 moving forward at these 2 Panzer Fusiliers here. May finish them off if he gets a lucky shot. And only 1 left. And finishes off that Panzer Fusilier. A fair loss for the OKW. Jackson in a 57 over here to defend against any kind of armor. Not too much armor out for the Germans, which is sort of surprising. Just that, and now a Tiger B out on the field. Tiger B and an elephant. Can't really talk. Getting all kind of tongue-tied after about 40 minutes of talking. That happens. Tiger B now moving forward against this IS-2. So Tiger B versus IS-2. And the Raketenwerfer is set up here. So the Raketenwerfer is going to add to the damage here. But he's having a little hard time setting that up appropriately. And launches that missile, does a sliver of damage, didn't really do too much. And the elephant gets the kill, shoots it right in the back of the armor there with the elephant at nearly point-blank range. So it's huge damage coming from that elephant. M1919 on the ground and was picked up by the Grenadiers. Looks like the Major was going for it at the same time as well, just to deny it from the Germans. But the Grenadiers got to it first, and now using it against the Major there. May actually lose this Major, which would be a big loss because the Major costs 120 munitions, which some people think is a little bit too much. I agree. And now moving forward here with the Jackson. We'll see what the Jackson can do here and maybe get some shots on that Tiger B, but definitely not going to be able to beat it on its own. And the Elephant is in. Oh, an Elephant hits it from miles away from downtown there. Carl Malone, the mailman, and if anybody doesn't get that reference, just look up Carl Malone. That was his nickname. He's a basketball player, and I like to say it because I think it's somewhat humorous. Tiger P now backing up and just deciding to back up and go backwards, checking out that transmission. Yep, working just fine. Reverse works. Captain launching some bazooka rounds at this elephant, but not doing too much as the elephant's frontal armor is pretty wicked and not really going to take too much damage from those bazookas, but taking back the munitions point from the Germans. Germans owning the center victory point, owning the left side victory point, and the right side victory point belonging to the Allies. 112 for the Germans, 90 for the Allies. Now turning the game around entirely here. That late game German armor, that elephant just doing work. Although it's only got 2 kills, it's done way more than just 2 kills in damage. Eats a rifle grenade there and takes out about 3 of those men with 1 rifle grenade. Another very successful rifle grenade. And it looks like he lost a grenadier squad there, so perhaps the Germans lost out on that one. I would rather lose just 3 men than an entire squad. Grenadiers trying to force away the Allies from this sector here. But that is a difficult task to do as there's a flamethrower and an MG42 that was stolen from the Germans. Now the left side taken back by these riflemen here. Right side already in the Allies' hands. And the middle may be in the Allies' hands any second now. And indeed, now all 3 belonging to the Allies here need to take those back immediately. As right now, it's a clutch moment, 103 to 80. And the Germans going to be going down by 3 at a time. Next time it's going to be 100, and they don't have long until they really start to lose the game. Elephant moving forward here, and it looks like the Tiger B took a pretty big shot there from the rear from this Jackson, and the IS-2 needs to watch out there, needs to turn around that Tiger in a quick hurry here as there's armor behind him. And those 2 snipers still out on the field there, still sniping out troops, and all the troops there got destroyed and did not successfully take that center victory point. We have some oversold that and moving in on this 50 cal here, and they're right outside the range of fire, so that 50 cal is in a little bit of trouble. Elephant taking some machine gun bullets, but not a big deal. Just gonna shrug that off and fire back now. And the IS-2 all the way over there needs to send the Tiger B after that IS-2, and then the Elephant while it's distracted. And still, the two priests are out on the field and never have been destroyed by the looks of it. Looks like the Jackson may have been destroyed at some point. Nope, it is just decrewed to be repaired. Always kind of jukes me out because it is not shown in the forces tab when you actually decrew a vehicle. It just shows you as vehicle crew. Grenadiers moving forward, going to take back the left side victory point here. At the same time, the Russians taking the right side victory point. Center victory point has been taken by the Germans here, so soon the Germans will be in a safe spot. And we'll have 2 victory points, which will start to reduce the U.S. forces and Russian score as well. Obersoldaten also taking the munitions point, and there's some engineers with a flamethrower moving in on them, but they do have that LMG, so they should be able to hold off these engineers here, and indeed they do. And it looks like they're putting some minefield down on this victory point here, which is a very wise decision at this point. As troops try to take that back, in a clutch moment, they will be blown up by those mines. Grenadiers now trying to take the fuel point here, but there is a priest barrage coming down on this sector there. But they seem to be juking it pretty easy. 257s in the center, just waiting for any kind of tanks. Turning that around now, hitting the Elephant with those 257. Elephant needs to react to that. Needs to start backing that up because it's taken multiple shots there. 2 of them deflected. 1 of them did some decent damage there and successfully gets away. Left side, some troops trying to move into the left side, but only riflemen, very insufficient to send the Germans running there. Now, Russians moving into the center victory point here. However, there's 2 Obersoldaten with LMGs and an MG42 also in the center here. MG42 suppressing those troops and sending them running, but there's a Katyusha barrage incoming on this sector here. And also an incendiary barrage coming right on this sector here. But a sort of an unnecessary incendiary barrage, as the Germans already own it, so the Germans aren't going to be going into that sector to take it back, as they don't need to go into the sector to take it back since they already own it. Panzer II is out on the field, and the Elephant also in the middle here as well, but none of the Allied armor really wants to go into the center, which I simply don't blame them, as that Elephant will hit them before they can even see that. Captain and Grenadier battling it out over the fuel point here. And there's a Grenadier across the way shooting the Captain in the back. However, there's a fresh Rifleman squad moving in. And I'm going to chase both of those Grenadiers out of there. Still never got that scope upgrade, although I suppose he doesn't really need to, as you can use that focus sight to see forward a little bit more. But I just feel that the scope is very convenient if you have some extra munitions to use, which he really doesn't at the moment. And he has all these troops forward ahead. His ally is a very good ally. He is a very good player himself. So either way, he always has some kind of scouting potential out front for him to see with this Elephant, so he can hit things very far away. So as a professional player, he really doesn't need the scope, but me as a slightly less professional player, I always get the scope. Very convenient and easy to use. IS-2 not really wanting to go in that center with good reason, as that he knows that Elephant is there somewhere. And Jackson hits that Panzer II, takes it out in a quick hurry there. That Jackson doing such huge damage to a light vehicle. Pack 40 set up, and the Pack did get a hit on that Jackson, and now he's backing that up. 62-34. Allies are in trouble right now, and they are taking the center back. It is neutralized, so that means that both teams have 1 victory point, meaning that nobody goes down in points right now. So it's all about this center victory point right now. I suppose you could take the other sides, but right now this is neutralized. Somebody will take this. Somebody needs to take this. Engineers trying their luck, trying to take it. But we have some Panzer Fusiliers moving forward. They are the 5-star Panzer Fusiliers with a flamethrower. However, they're going to run right into this IS-2, and they need to back out as soon as possible. That IS-2 could finish them off with a point-blank shot there, and that's going to be bad. One down to 1 man, and may make it out of there. 2 Grenadiers, 3 Grenadiers, and the Tiger B now moving forward. They stopped that Panzer Fusilier for a moment. That could have been bad. And the Tiger B now moving forward. That is a stunned crew there. And shoot that IS-2. IS-2 shoots back. Only a small sliver of damage on that Tiger B. Tiger B just a little bit slower than that IS-2. And the IS-2 takes a shot from that Pack 40 there. Stuns it again. Very unlucky RNG there for that IS-2. And Tiger B just a little bit too slow and cumbersome to catch up to that IS-2. Tiger B in the center here. Elephant in the center. And that Elephant could have actually fired on that IS-2. He knew that this Tiger B was chasing that IS-2. And the Elephant could have simply moved up to about here and hit it all the way from there. Left side being taken by the U.S. forces. Right side taken by the U.S. forces. Center almost taken by the U.S. forces. It is neutralized 55 to 34. Extremely close game so far. MG42 suppressing these troops. And if they can pin them, indeed pin, now they can no longer take this. It will fall back to neutrality. And some troops need to make it out as soon as possible. We have some Obersoldaten moving over to the left side here. Riflemen in defensive position with that M1919. However, the Obersoldaten so far beating them out, and we'll see who wins out on this fight. A long-distance fight with the M1919 typically does pretty well, and suppressing those troops slightly there. And we'll see who wins out on that fight. It's a very clutch fight right now. To who can take this over, but there are some additional troops coming over to the left side now very soon. Tiger B now moving over to the left side, trying to chase out some of these Jackson and the Priest. Perhaps he saw them on the map when they were firing. Elephant still in the center, defending the center. Right side being chased away. Just some engineers here, and there's some Panzer Fusiliers with that flamethrower, and they're trying to maybe lure them to that charge there, and that would be a pretty clutch move if he actually got on that charge and lost all those Panzer Fusiliers. That would certainly leave that right side victory point in Allied hands for quite a while. It looks like the riflemen are really holding out there in that defensive position. However, there's a rifle grenade comes down, and the Tiger B fires at the same exact time. Can't handle that kind of damage. Priests bombing down here. Both Priests look like they're firing in this region. And now the IS-2 moving forward and chasing away these Panzer Fusiliers. So this was just neutralized. 57 in the center here, and firing point blank at that Elephant, but the Elephant fires point blank at the 57, takes out that 57 crew. Now the left side is taken by the Germans. Once again, 27 to 27, a clutch, nail-biting suspense of a game. See who wins out on this. Two riflemen now moving into the center again to try and take that back. Right side being taken back by these engineers, and the IS-2 defending there. Engineers could be repairing that while defending that at the same time, but they choose not to, just standing around. Should be repairing that at the same time. Middle, very clutch moment going on here. These conscripts and riflemen trying everything they can, taking as much damage as they can before having to run away there. And they will take this. Looks like that will fall into Allied hands. 27 to 16 so far. But however, there's some grenadiers coming at the right moment here. Some conscripts also moving into the center. Jackson now in the center as well, getting some shots on the side armor of that Tiger B. Being a little bit clever, getting out of there as soon as it fires a shot. Elephant still in the center here. Elephant just needs to turn on its axis and fire at that Jackson. Both this Tiger B and the Elephant could pretty much fire at the same time and possibly destroy that in just 2 shots. Grenadiers and conscripts battling it out here. Grenadiers do not have the rifle grenade because they already used it. Could use it again here on those conscripts. Do everything they can to take them out. Panzer Fusiliers now moving forward. That 5-star with that flamethrower still alive. Elephant in a little bit of trouble here. Can't turn fast enough. May actually lose the Elephant to that Jackson at the last minute there. 15 to 16. That's a big loss for the Wehrmacht there to lose that. And now the Jackson in a little bit of trouble. Its engine is now damaged. The pack right here just needs to turn slightly, but the Tiger B finishes it off. And these Panzer Fusiliers taking over the victory point. So much fire, so much destruction on the map there. Lagging my computer just a little bit. Combined with the recording and the low optimization of the game. Not a good combination. MG42 light machine gun on the ground. Could have taken that with the conscripts there. Or with the riflemen, rather. They could have had an M1919 and an LMG 42. That would have been actually a pretty good combination there. Except the Grenadiers now picking up 2 LMGs on that Grenadier squad. A pretty formidable squad there. And now taking back the center. It's still neutralized. The Allies need to get in there as soon as possible. Now bringing some riflemen to stop that. 14 to 15. Here comes some engineers as well. And we'll see what they can do. Grenadiers have to run away. Although at this point, pretty much just keep those in there at all costs, even if they die. As it's 14 to 12, they cannot afford to lose that. It will be neutralized by the Allies at the very least. So now both points will stop once again, halting the point loss for both sides. As both sides only own 1 victory point. Now Grenadiers getting back inside here. Going to start turning that around into German territory. However, there's some engineers moving in. They're just throwing everything they got. Now just everybody just needs to get in there and just throw everything they got. Everything just needs to get in there. Pack moving up and firing on that IS-2. Obersoldaten too far out. Need to get inside that territory point there and stop that neutralization. Stop that from going into Allied hands. Here comes some Grenadiers. MG42 still set up and trying to suppress these troops and hopefully pin them. Lots of troops moving in on both sides here. Both sides just need to throw points in at all costs. Now, we have some Obersoldaten on the right side. They tricked the U.S. forces there. And since that is neutralized and now in German hands, the Allies are moving down. Just 2 points left, 14-2. And it was a little bit too late. The Allies lost the game. I'd say both sides played this extremely well, and it came down to 14-0. So you know that both sides played very, very well. I'll give it to both RtN and SturmTiger for this amazing game. It is the replay, or the replay highlight on CoH2.org, and I would say for very good reason. Looks like some priests were moving down here to try and capture this area, but there's really no troops that were coming down. This right side was going to be taken back very soon, but just was too late. Once this was neutralized, this is neutral as well, so that means that the Germans had 1 victory point and the Allies had none, dropping their points down by 1 at a time. And they just simply lost the game because of that 14-0. Very, very close. Really hope you guys enjoyed this game, and I'll see you guys next time.